Sneeko Hutchinson. She was fine, and then we started doing this.
Oh, she's getting the,
She's like, I don't want to go.
she's getting the electronic wavelengths going. Oh, it's aliens.
Oh, oh, but wait, close.
So you,
Okay, hold on.
yeah, I think you've got, what is it, Zoom coming through this?
Yeah, you
Okay.
gotta turn off the speakers to the.
Yeah, I was just coming through the thing. I think we're good now.
I think you're doing marvelous.
Okay, so are we recording to?
We are live and ready to roll.
Are we recording to YouTube?
We sure are. I'm gonna double check really quick.
Okay, we asked for 64 seconds of patience, folks. We're doing a tertiary check. Well, she's gonna have to hit some buttons in a second.
Oh, we're live. Look at us go. We're
Okay.
live.
All righty, we are live. It is Monday, March 10th, Old Farm District, here at Larkspur Center. This is our monthly board meeting. We really have a sort of a mellow agenda today, but one of our long-term and former board members, Butch, just rolled in, and he got a letter from the city, which it turns out a few other people did, which goes right along with what our spring meeting is. So let's get started. My name is James DeRofi. I'm the board chair.
Karen Johnson, land use.
Jen Sawyer, social media outreach.
Ryan Kennedy.
So just a reminder, on April 24th here at the Larkspur Center, starting at 4:30 for social purposes, but the meeting will start at 5:30. We'll be in the large meeting room holding a general meeting where we'll be discussing a few other topics. We'll run through that at the end of, or in this meeting, but I just want to remind everybody up front, April 24th, tell all your neighbors.
Mark your calendar, pass it along.
Mark your calendar, cast them along. What is it? What do we say? Repost.
Repost. There you go.
Why don't we start? Karen, do you have any land use?
Yes, nothing specific in terms of developments in our district, but kind of a general philosophical discussion, short. You hear constantly that Oregon's not building enough housing, not building enough affordable housing. The Sunday Oregonian had an interesting article, quite long, 2 pages, that I think is worth looking at, talking about middle housing, which is to say duplexes, triplexes, townhomes. The idea is that you build more units on a lot. They're necessarily smaller, they'll be cheaper, that people with the average income can afford. Portland is doing pretty well. Apparently 17% of the new housing is middle housing, which is double the former construction percentage. But they looked at 45 other Oregon cities, half of them that either their middle housing is stalling or it's decreasing. Only about 20 of the 45 cities had a increase in middle housing at all. And so the result is that statewide middle housing went from about 11% up to 13%. They based the article had a lady that they were using as the center of it, that she bought a house in Portland. She wanted to find single family detached, ended up buying a triplex, which she could afford. And she's pleased with it, but ultimately she wants to get a single family detached. And that's, I think, the problem with trying to get more middle housing. People want single family detached homes ultimately. But it's an interesting issue. Also, to point out, for those of you who want to know what's going on in terms of housing for Bend, they have what's called the Bend Housing Data Hub, which gives you all kinds of information on housing production, affordable housing production. It makes it for interesting reading. In other words, the city has put the stats out there for people who are interested in the problem with housing in Bend. So philosophically, that's all I have to say.
And that hub off the city website.
Yes, it's on the city website, Bend Housing Data Hub, HUB.
Okay. Other than that, that was it for land use.
Yes.
Or, I mean, we talked about this last month too, the work that is happening in the Magnolia to 27th and Ferguson. Do we know anything? Have you seen anything more on that? I mean, there's infrastructure work going on there right through the middle.
I've not seen anything.
It's interesting how the contours of that property come up from 27th, and they come down from Magnolia, and they reach sort of a high point, not too far off the center line with Ferguson Court. And it looks like they've prepped a road through there, but they only brought it to within like 20 feet up there, so you can't see it, and then it's wrapped with black plastic. And so I haven't felt like clogging through the mud yet, but it's interesting that there's work that's being somewhat shielded up there. I mean, I know that's somewhat normal, but you know, it's going on, and I'm just curious who's doing what. And I don't see anything that tells me what it is. There's no signage I can see.
Wasn't there a land use 3x5 or 2x3
Down at
sign?
the end of Magnolia there was.
Is it still there?
I can't remember. I don't think so. Because
If you happen to see it or it's laying on the ground, go over to it, take a picture of it and see if there's a plan number or a.
yeah, but that is for the development that we know is coming in those 10-acre parcels.
But it may have information regarding the
It
connected
might.
infrastructure.
Like,
Okay. Well, that was quick, Karen. Thank you. Now we're gonna go to something, this is something that Brian originally discovered, and then we started to look into it more and then realized it's not just a southeast side of town. It's a whole Bend issue. And it's the ADA sidewalks and access. So Brian, I'll let you give the history. We don't have the picture.
yeah, I was going to send that to Ross, but he couldn't be here. We're giving them lake names just to be somewhat funny, but they're not. It's not funny because the city has spent a lot of money and a lot of time either refurbishing existing sidewalk curbs, and we're talking about the yellow colored ADA ramps found on the corners of. They're supposed to be on every corner, but the city's still working through that. Some of them are very poorly designed or executed, such that they collect water, ice, and debris, making them substantially impassable for able-bodied walkers, or certainly the people for whom such a ramp would be valuable. Recently, in front of my neighborhood, it rained, puddled, and froze over the course of 2 days. And then we know with the cold snap we had, it stayed frozen for a week or so before it thawed. And there was no drainage for it. It is the low spot. And so the frozen area probably was somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 feet wide and 10 feet long. So there was no getting around it unless you stepped into the street to walk around the ADA ramp, which is the hindrance. This is off of Ferguson, and Ferguson, as we know, was just rebuilt because it had the sewer line that ran down the center of it. So it was repaved, and the ADA curbs were installed as part of that process. So these are brand new and they don't work. And there's one that is even more sad on Magnolia and Ferguson, because it is literally off the corner. So you turn the corner and go a few feet. So you're at the absolute lowest point you can be in the whole intersection. And then probably because they knew there would be runoff there, they built a concrete curbed retaining wall, which not only captures the water, but it holds it. So there is no place for the water to go. And with the runoff that has been happening there, if you go over there today, that ramp is not yellow. It's so covered with dirt and mud and the grime from the roads that you wouldn't even recognize it as an ADA ramp. So possible that maybe that gets remediated when they fix Magnolia, but somewhere between designing and crafting these roads and their ADA curbs, there's a failure to properly account for drainage. The drainage should run out of there, not into there, and hold it. And in a number of instances I've seen, water does not run to a drain, and other instances it doesn't run at all. It just sits in these ramps. Sounds like with some early discussions with the city that it's an acknowledged problem. It's possible they don't know how widespread it is. Maybe they do. I don't know if they've done an audit up and fully. But we are looking for, and we'll ask for again in our annual meeting coming up next month, people who might know of some of these ramps in their immediate vicinity that they encounter, that they see them fill up and then eventually they dissipate. But standing water at these ADA ramps is not only counterproductive for their purpose, but it also will be very destructive for the ramps if they're going to be soaking in water, freezing and thawing, which is the death knell for those types of materials. So we're on it. We're talking to them. We haven't really gotten a response yet from the city about how they're going to approach it, but it appears, I say appears, like it's a pretty substantial problem and one that would probably be very difficult to remediate. So I would think they're probably looking at all sorts of options and funding options, and those are probably, funding and options are probably not two good words right now. So don't know where that stands, but we would look for folks to just let us know where they see this problem occurring, and we would funnel that information along to the city as part of our accounting for the known problematic ramps in our district.
So long story short, if you're walking around, you're on your bike, you're going to your neighbor's house, you come up on an ADA ramp and it's been inundated with debris, water, ice, and it's no longer functional as an ADA ramp, please take a note of that location and send that to us. We had a private conversation with a few members of City of Bend Accessibility Advisory Committee. They know it's an issue heavily in downtown. They do not have an understanding of the surrounding neighborhoods, especially on our side of town. So we sort of need to, it'll be a community information effort to get this information to the people that can actually do something about it.
Yeah, and to James's point, it's important to make an official record because you don't exist until you've been acknowledged. And so if we can, as a community, report these are the logistically problematic areas that we can, now it's official and it's written down. How and when it might get addressed, nobody knows, but you got to start with awareness. And just like with the pothole reporting, we want to do some reporting on these ADA ramps because they're not safe. They're not safe for kids to go to school. I was really, really worried in our ice patch because we had the water, we had the freeze, and then we had snow on top of it. And we have many, many middle school kids that race their bikes down that sidewalk. If they hit that patch, they would never think it's ice. It just looked like more snow. And there's no way they'd control their bikes on that. And we're just waiting for somebody to get badly hurt on that. And so it's real. And not just the fact that folks with disabilities would find them impassable, but also for the rest of the community, they present challenges for the creation of ice, which sometimes extends into the roadway. So yeah, more on that, but we appreciate anybody's help.
So you want people to email us?
They can. We also, at least the discussion was to present an opportunity for people to report that at the annual meeting.
Pictures help as well.
Pictures help. Pictures help a lot.
Okay.
Pull out the smartphone, take a quick picture, take a note of the location, and then just send it to us. That pretty much it for that topic.
I think for now, yeah.
Okay. On that note, let's just spend a few minutes finalizing the general meeting, and then we can go into open discussion. Because I know Butch has an interesting topic which sort of follows up the general meeting. And then we'll see if anybody online has anything for us. Jim, is that Jim Christo or is that a different Jim?
Didn't sound like Jim Christo.
No, it's me. I just
What is you? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. My wife had surgery today, so I'm just staying home taking care of her.
No,
So-
that's fine. I'm just making sure you're here because you need to hear all this.
Yep, that's why I'm here.
Okay, I'll just do a quick rundown of where we are at. Essentially, we have the 4 confirmed guests from the city of Bend for the fire topic conversation. Brian just got
The director of Deschutes County Solid Waste will be there.
which will be interesting since they just announced today that the new landfill site got canceled.
It didn't get canceled. They just they're at an impasse in their negotiations with the property owner. So the county is having to look at all options again.
So that'll be definitely good to know. So in the next few days, Jim, Brian and I are gonna start working on the marketing material, and then we'll get you copies of that. And then we're gonna go get the postcards for everybody in the old farm district. Jim, you'll have to do that for your district. We'll try to make the marketing southeast friendly, not just old farm relevant. We're also gonna be trying to reach people outside of city limits, south of Knott Road, all the way to the Deschutes National Forest. Still asking the city's helping me come up with the list of those addresses and people, but they haven't agreed necessarily to the funding of the postage and mailing yet.
Jim, while we're talking about the postcard, does Southeast have any visual representation in terms of a logo or font style that says Southeast? Because our card is very heavily styled for the old farm district. So if we're going to moderate that, I'm wondering if you have anything that we could pair it with that represents Southeast visually.
I'd have to look. I'm not certain.
Okay. Did you just let us know?
Yeah, or just send the logo to us.
Yeah, I'll do that. I think we do have something, but I haven't looked at it in quite a while.
So Director of Deschutes County Public Waste, who are the 3 other?
Deschutes County Solid Waste.
Solid Waste, sorry.
Sorry, that's Tim Brown.
Yeah, so that'll be topic number 2. And then the primary topic is, give me a second. And they've all confirmed.
Oh, maybe just talking about the general theme.
Well,
Yeah.
just the speakers, so when I put out social media messaging, I can list like the list of speakers.
Yeah, I'll get to that specific list, but essentially it's somebody from, oh, here we go. So Counselor Mike Riley has confirmed he's gonna be in attendance. And then Melissa Steele from Bend Fire and Rescue, Deschutes County Preparedness Panel. Let's see here, what is his name? Nathan Garibay or Garibau, I don't know how he pronounces it. That's going to be very important because essentially the county has evacuation routes, but apparently nobody that lives here knows anything about them. So it's good. That'll be an interesting person.
Can we set this up? I know Jen needs that for social, but I don't know if the audience would understand the general premise of our meeting and why. I mean, given some of the timeliness, this obviously we're surrounded by forest. Obviously, we have wildfires now every year, and their intensity and their cost continue to increase, and everyone seems to be in agreement that that's only going to get worse. The recent incidents in Southern California, I think, is a wake-up call that everyone is paying heed to, because that was not in the middle of the forest. That was just a windblown fire that basically went from house to house. And we live surrounded by forest that will catch fire naturally or otherwise. The west side of Bend had the Aubrey Hall fire, which burned a large swath of that, back in the day. But we have new development, high density development planned in our area, adjacent to or very close to the the natural forest. And I think we all pretty much understand with our weather patterns that any fire that emanated from public lands would almost certainly come from the west southwest, because that's the primary direction of our strongest winds. So if it gets into town, then what? And so I think that, if I may speak so broadly, I think the general theme of this meeting around the fire topic is to start looking at all of the topics that are related to fires, because we may be independently living in domiciles where us, I don't live next to the forest, but I think LA taught us, the lesson that doesn't matter. If it starts, and we have a wind-blown event, we certainly aren't equipped to stop it. LA couldn't stop it with their fire department. Our fire department isn't going to be able to stop it either. So there's, from insurance to evacuation routes to surviving, you name it. There's a whole host of issues, and I think, again, we're trying to open the lid on the can of possible topics for closer examination and broader examination and more wide examination. And it's kind of starting in our community with us at our meeting on April 24th.
Yeah, just as a reminder, so the reason why the boards have decided to bring this up is when the new statewide map was released, it had to do, part of the southeast side of future Bend is high risk, and that actually has legal ramifications. That map is currently under debate at the state level, but it doesn't, just because something will or won't have a legal ramification due to a label, that doesn't mean we're still not at risk of wildfire. So the other two guests are for that topic is Brian Rankin, and he's going to be discussing long-range planning considering wildfire risk for the entire urban growth area and all the master plans yet to be approved. And then Russ Grayson is the assistant city manager, who will be discussing the current specs and design standards for houses and how they are probably going to be changed. So I had already mentioned Melissa Steele. She's going to be giving people's information and guidance of how to protect their current homes. So if you've been in your house for 20, 30, or 40 years, what can you do? And one of the things that will come out of this meeting is it will trigger follow-up meetings. So if you have a particular neighborhood, particular homeowners association that wants to delve more deeply into this, we will get you a list of the speakers or the actual authority of the people that are working on it at the governmental level, on a local level.
And if I could add to this, all the obvious and not so obvious topics that come out of wildfire risk, I think we all acknowledge that the state of Oregon and the city of Bend is pursuing housing at the middle and low income levels to try to accommodate the need that's here. And I would question the interface of the cost of building fire hardened homes and how that equates to affordability. If we who live in homes that were built however many decades ago would need to retrofit those with fire hardening materials, how does that equate to creating more affordable housing if you have to use more expensive materials to fire harden it? And if that is the case, which I'm not a professional in either area, would suggest it looks like it might be, then is the positioning of future developments a critical assessment? And how important is the issue of fire related to some of the more recent decisions about where to build? So we have a little bit of the cart in front of the horse possibility going on here, but it does feel that after the incidents in California, Paradise, and Southern California, where places have literally been wiped off the map, and people running unsuccessfully for their lives, that we need to pay attention to it. And we're already behind on that curve since the fires are already upon us. So a very heavy but important conversation that will certainly spur conversations in probably almost every other area, that would the city, and county and state need to factor into our future. So we hope you can attend, and we hope you'll share that information so that other people attend.
And in a couple of weeks, we're gonna be sending out some social media requests and newsletter requests regarding questions that you may want addressed. The more questions we can get sent to us before the meeting, that means we can make sure that the staff has the appropriate answers. This isn't a question, we're not trying to have any gotcha questions. We want people to ask solid questions so that we can get honest answers and then go from there.
And I think it'd be fair to say that a lot of the answers they don't have yet.
They don't.
And so I think if we want them to come up with the answers, then we also need to provide them good information and good questions to think about.
Yeah, and ultimately, if you are a member of your HOA, make sure your entire homeowners association knows about this meeting. And we're gonna do our best to market it, but we can only do so much.
And we will report.
And we will be recorded. So back to the meeting planning, we're gonna have food. Karen, you're gonna take care of that?
Yep.
We're gonna be recording it. We're gonna hope that'll be all dialed in. It'll be in the large room as normal. The entrance table, we're gonna have one of our tablets set up. And then we'll have the ability to go to the websites of the various, Larkspur is also gonna be marketing with us. So it's truly gonna be the entire southeast quadrant of Bend is marketed for this meeting, for this forum. So we'll have tablets set up so that as people come in, they're not a member of their neighborhood associate or neighborhood district. We can bring them right to the correct page and sign them up right then and there. Trying to make this as efficient as possible, but so people can keep in the loop of all of this going forward.
Are we gonna have space for pollinator pathway?
Pardon me?
Pollinator pathway?
Sure. We have at least 2 or 3 tables of open space available. We can, yeah, it's always good to have some just nice, not apocalyptic, social concepts.
I would just walk the room, and since the TVs are on the west
Side.
wall, I think we should consider, and the natural recess where we've had the food in the past, we might make a more natural place to put our panel. Because you've got your speakers up there and your video behind them. So if they're bringing supporting visuals, then they would be adjacent to the speakers instead of having people having
Yeah.
to turn.
Great idea. We've done it in the past. We haven't done it since they've done their remodel with the new AV system, but we have done meetings facing that way. We definitely need to make sure their microphones, as we learned at the beginning of today, basically it's 2 rooms that we combine into one, and they both have separate independent audio systems, which can be combined, but we have a very difficult time ever getting that to happen. So hopefully we'll have all of that figured out. Brian, you and I are gonna take care of the mailings, and then Dirk and Jen will be on social media. And then Jim, we will give you whatever assistance we can regarding the social media, and with Larkspur also doing it, we should be able to basically create multiple tags going around.
I was just thinking, one thing we didn't talk about was the signs. But Jim, you're probably familiar with what we do with signs, advertising our meetings, where we hang them on our welcome to the Old Farm District city signs. We should probably rethink that in terms of like where might be key points in Southeast where it would garner high visibility, and maybe we should allocate a couple of boards of ours to put them in key positions in Southeast.
Jim, do you know where your welcome to Southeast Bend street signs are?
Yeah, affirmative. We only have 4. There's 2 on Peril Road. There's 1 on 15th, and I think there's 1 on Broster House. So it's only 4. That's what the city paid for all of the districts back a few years ago, 4 each.
Where's the one on 15th?
It's just north of Knott Road as you're heading north.
So it's close
And
to Ventura?
and Broster House is just south of the intersection with Murphy, heading south.
All right, well, why don't you think about what might be the 2 most effective places to put signs in terms of visibility and traffic, and maybe we can talk as a board here about how we want to deploy the signs.
Yeah, we'll use 2 of our signs. I can think we don't necessarily need the one on.
Well, we just need
American.
to.
You know, I know 2 that we can, yeah,
We just
we can definitely reallocate 2 of our A-frames to your post. So Jim, let's talk about that in the next couple days. It usually takes about 2 or 3 weeks for the sign company to get them all printed, so we're not in any hurry.
Okay.
We are pretty close.
Okay, Brian says we need to,
Well, I do the heavy lifting, so I can tell you we need to do it sooner than that.
well, we need to get the sign started and printed, but
Yeah.
as far as determining the location,
No, no, oh,
we have
yes.
at least, we have a week or 2 to figure that out. So anything else that I'm missing at this point for the general meeting?
Oh, sounds good.
Huh?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Maybe just outlining the times. I mean, are we still gonna, your last communication had a little wavering on the start time.
So essentially, we have the room from 4 o'clock on. If everybody gets here, if the board and volunteers get here at 4 to start setting it up, any of the side tables like bed pollinators, they need to be there and set up by 4:30. So that gives people an hour to mill around if they want.
So, but you had,
The meeting starts at 5:30.
I thought maybe you were gonna go earlier with getting our administrative stuff, elections or whatever done, so that, I thought you had Tim coming on at 5:20, I thought. Whatever you told me.
No, so the meeting starts at 5:30 and it ends at 7:30. So that should be more than enough. The fire topic, I'm giving at least an hour plus. The Tim is gonna get 20 to 25 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to this other group that I think they only need 5 or a table out in the front. We should be fine. And then Jim, we're gonna be doing, Old Farm has to spend about 5 minutes on elections. I don't know how that's gonna go. And I know you probably need to do something similar as well, or at least market as much.
Jim, didn't you already do your annual meeting?
That's a negative.
Oh.
Ours is coming up, but the problem I'm having is I'm basically it.
That'll make elections easy.
Yeah, well, it's either I get some more board directors or we're gonna have to go inactive
Yeah, I understand. Well,
or merge with somebody like you guys.
speaking of which, we have 5 of 7 positions filled, so anyone out there who might be inclined, this would be a great time to step up.
So, yeah, my thought at the meeting was to call for elections, nominations on the floor. If there's nobody nominated, then I'll pose a question of, well, do I get your permission to either go inactive or seek a merger? That's kind of my plan.
Yeah, so, and before the meeting, Jim, make sure you send an official statement to Michaela and the city staff stating as much. Because as you learned last week, the neighborhoods really need the city to understand what's going on with each district. And I can't speak for Southeast, but you can. And if you're saying that you're probably gonna go inactive unless there's gonna be, external support or something like that, that's key before this meeting.
All right, will do. Thanks for the info.
Okay. So anything else we'll just talk about in the next week or so? Butch, like I said, you're a former board member. You're one of our neighbors as well. And if anybody has anything else they'd like to ask or add or have comments, raise your hand and we'll address those now. We're gonna go into just general comments, but Butch got an interesting letter from the city today, which apparently a bunch of people, if you haven't gotten one yet, you may or may not get one of these. Take it away, Butch.
Yeah, the letter comes from the city, and apparently it's the Director of Risk and Emergency Management down in Cary, I guess, Cary Carl. Anyhow, it's about the fire topic. In the general sense of it, I totally support, but just some of the rules they have, I find fault with. And some of it is like, you can't have any vegetation within 5 feet of your dwelling. You can't have any tree limbs, within 10 feet of the ground. You got to remove all the vegetation underneath the tree. Well, in my house or my yard, I got pine trees, juniper trees, and I got maple. I'm not pine maple. I got the Oregon holly, and that's growing naturally. That's how God kind of wants it. I really don't want to cut all that down. So we'll just work with this. But I mean, for the gist of this, it makes total sense to start being careful. And I got this letter and came here not even knowing you guys were having a fire topic for next month's meeting. So hopefully you guys have this person from Risk and Emergency Management from the city coming to that meeting.
It wasn't planned. I have not checked my mail, but you said it's anything over half acre, so I'm probably gonna get one of those. That's the case.
Well, it has rules for half acre, which says
Yeah,
today you gotta have a 20-foot barrier around that half acre, and in the future they'll adopt a state law that says 50 feet. Well, I got thinking, if I have 50 feet on all sides of mine, I'll have room for my house, and that's about it.
well, see, the funny thing about that is, according to new building code, all the high density is 5 foot lot
Setbacks, yeah.
5 foot setbacks. So this is one of those main conversations that we're gonna have with Brian and specifically Russ Grayson. How exactly are we supposed to build a city when we're being told the exact opposite of what we should be doing by everybody but our local city?
Yeah, those are completely in conflict with one another.
It's for everybody, it just has a rule here for half acre.
You know, it just says if you have a half
If you have
acre
a
or
half
more.
acre.
then-
So if any of you get one of these letters, just curious, just shoot us an email too if you have any questions about it, so that we can forward that question to the city, because this is definitely something that should be addressed in the general meeting.
Well, it would also be interesting to know who's getting this form letter. I mean, is it everybody? I mean, I'll look in my mail tonight and see if I got it, but, or is it only certain neighborhoods that have maybe perhaps
What should I?
heavier treat? I don't know.
Guessing everybody will get it, it just happens to be how UPS or postal service sends it out sometimes.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But these are all part of the many, many unanswerable questions.
Because technically, everybody here, I know where you all live, we're all part of the purple designation according to that wildfire map. The red designation is a bunch of people basically across from Caldera High School, and then a large part of Stevens Tract. But, you know, does a fire really care about a political line drawn on a map? I don't think so.
Well,
But
to my point earlier, it's once it reaches homes, it isn't about the trees anymore.
right.
The one thing I'd give this community all the credit for is most of our power structure is underground. We live in a land of rock, and the fact that the city has always had few power lines underground here, my hat goes off to them, because you can go to a lot of communities where digging in the ground is easy as hell. They're overhead. That's nuts.
I agree. And I just lost my power the other day.
All this.
We all got about 4:45.
4 in the morning, 4:44 was about
Ours came back on the Crane hit Pacific Power. Literally, ours all came on, and then that part of town went off when the crane hit. And I know, and one thing, are you guys having any power people come to this meeting?
No.
Because they got a whole new infrastructure going in out east of
Yeah,
here.
that's another
Yeah.
topic. We
So,
could bring in, but-
Butch, this is just general conversation. Not only is that another topic, but the county, I was listening to the county commissioners meeting about a week or two ago, and Bonneville Power and Pacific Power
Yes.
basically announced to the Deschutes County Commissioners, they need to annex a huge amount of land for these new 500
Towers?
gigawatt towers. It was a number of electricity that I don't ever hear. So it may have been a terawatt. But apparently we don't have anything to those standards at all going through this area, and they need to put in a few of these lines. The closest things we have are at like the 300 level. So when you look at the big metal power lines, those are like the highest that we've got, and the power grid is saying, nope, we need even more and even more powerful, going all the way to Gilchrist.
Do you know why we need those?
Because basically from what the power company said is our infrastructure is being taxed by the data centers.
Right. It's a server farm across America, which is shocking to me that it's not getting that much attention, but.
So it's not due to electric vehicles. It's not due to people electrifying their house.
Not too many buildings. It's simply the fact that somehow we've adopted the need that everything has to go into the cloud.
Yeah.
And I don't know who made up that need, but that's what's draining us of our electrical resources.
And that county commissioning meeting was very interesting because all the county commissioners had they were not informed ahead of time. They were basically told they have a very short period of time to choose like one of 3 or 4 routes. And then the eminent domain is going to kick in for the power easements. Does anybody online have anything they'd like to add?
Yeah, this is Jim. I wanted to add one thing, and this is about land use. Actually, it's a state Senate Bill 974. I don't know if you've read about it. It was in the Bend Bulletin in the last couple of days, and it's apparently being introduced by one of the senators. And what it would do, it would reduce the time from 120 days down to 45 days for the city to approve or deny an application once the application is deemed complete.
Yeah, what's that number again, Jim?
It's Senate Bill 974.
That's crazy. That's impossible.
Yeah.
I think you're missing a digit there.
Is that the right number? 974?
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
Oregon SB 974 relating
Yep.
to the timeline for reviewing land use applications for housing, prescribing an effective date.
974?
974 is correct. I'm looking at it right now. My feeling is if they go down to 45 days, that all will eliminate the ability of the public to get involved with it at all.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, that'll kill
that's my
public
concern.
comments, and that'll essentially kill any sort of true inspection process. Or review process, I should say. It would be a
Yeah.
much better term.
Yeah, you're only
Jared,
gonna
why
have
don't you
this.
look into that?
I will. I missed that in the bulletin. It's interesting because I haven't received any notice from Central Oregon Land Watch about that. I'll get hold of them too, because that's just a big deal. 45 days. That's crazy.
Now, that's just for
Anything else to
single
add, Jim?
family homes. There's a couple of other steps in there, levels in there, but for single family detached, it's 45 days.
That's insane.
That's.
Please.
It did, is that what you
No, I'm saying 45 days seems awfully fast.
That's, yeah, I'm sure the developers are saying, we need this to build your homes, but I guarantee you, they've got 25 other things that you're backing them up more than that permit.
Thank you, Jim.
Anything else, Jim?
No, that's about it.
Well, if that's the case, folks, I'm up for calling it 15 minutes early unless somebody else has anything to add.
Carla, or is it Aaron? Does anyone else have anything to add?
Nope, I don't. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Cool.
Then we will call this meeting adjourned. If you can stop recording, hit all the fun buttons there, Jen.
Okay.
All the red ones.